Welcome, everyone. This is Joe Dager, the host of the Business 901 podcast. With me today is Tony Allwork. Tony is the pioneer of the jobs to be done theory, the inventor of the outcome-driven innovation process, and the founder of the strategy innovation consulting firm Strategy. His latest book, Jobs to be Done, solidifies this framework and picks up where his first book might have left off, which was What Customers Want. One of the things about Jobs to be Done is that, in using ODI, is that there seems to be, you've had good success, right? I mean, really good success compared to other methods, let's say.
Sure.
But you've also worked and been successful with some very large and outstanding companies. Has that swayed your success rate because they had the time and resources to get this done?
Well, it's a great question. They made the time and resources to get it done. The time it takes is about 2 to 3 months, so it's not as if it takes forever, but a lot of startups don't have 2 or 3 months, and they don't have the money to invest in an approach. They don't have the time or money to focus on it. And a lot of times the entrepreneur is very confident in their idea, and they just want to get it built. And venture firms are really designed to help them do exactly that. Just spend the money and get the prototype built and test it out and see if it's going to work in the marketplace. A lot of our clients, Joe, are in the medical space. They can't afford to get it wrong, right? The product life cycle, our development cycle is 3, 4, 5 years. It's got to go through FDA approval. If they get it wrong, they've just wasted a tremendous amount of time and money. So they recognize that. So they're definitely willing to spend a little bit more time up front to get it right. But we see that in lots of industries. Most of our clients are Fortune 500 companies, like you said. They've tried all these other approaches. They don't want to fail either. And so they're willing to spend a little bit of time up front to get it right before they jump in with the development work. And I think part of the challenge here, and I'm working on this, is to figure out how do we take the approach and make it more palatable for startups. And I've worked with a few startups in the last few years to help think through, what is the ODI light, if you will. What is better than nothing? How do we get them started in such a way that they could at least be in the right ballpark? And to that end, I think the answer is at least understand the job the customer's trying to get done, have a job map, have a set of outcomes. Maybe you don't know which ones are more important, and if there's segments of customers with different unmet needs, but at least you're in the ballpark. And if you keep focusing on satisfying all those outcomes that you've collected, you'll be successful. So I think that's the ODI light version of that. And we intend to put some tools out there that will help entrepreneurs do exactly that.
Can I use this method? Will I get value out of the book if I'm sitting there trying, as we talked about startups, trying to find product market fit? Because I find so many startups, they spend 90% of their money on product and 10% on market, right? And that's a two-way street. We really need to be like 50-50 or 60-40 or something. But can I start using this approach in the early development stage once my idea crystallizes and kind of prototype it with the Jobs to be Done approach?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, well, a lot of the work that we do with Jobs to be Done is just to help clients position products they already have. We have a great case study that's on our website with Arm & Hammer, their animal nutrition group, for example. They have products out there they've been selling for years. They just wanted to see if they were aligned with customer needs and if they could position them better in the marketplace. So we used the outcome-driven innovation approach to figure out what is the job that dairy producers are trying to get done. And we uncovered what their needs are, which were unmet. And then we better positioned the products that Arm & Hammer currently has around those unmet needs. So that changed the messaging, the sales pitch, and that sort of thing. And without changing the product or the pricing, but just with a new market strategy, if you will, they went from, they increased their 2013 to 2014 revenue by over 30%, which is just a great gain, especially considering they didn't change their products or anything. So thinking of it as a marketing tool is certainly valid. I'd say in nearly all the engagements that we participate in, we say that we're going to help the client better position the products they already have, improve the products they already have, and discover opportunities to create brand new products. Because once you know what the job is and what the unmet needs are, the one analysis reveals answers to all those key questions.
I think this sounds like, the typical way you should create a value proposition, get away from all the Post-it notes too. I mean, because it's a key. If you bring that out and understand that, I think if your customer understands it well, if you define it well, your employees and the rest of your group gets it, okay, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Sure. Well, you're exactly right. And that's it's often used for exactly that. Once we know where the unmet needs are, in the marketplace, we help companies create the right value proposition. And I'll just a quick example with a company called Coloplast. They are in the wound care market, and we studied the wound care market with nurses and discovered that many of the unmet needs didn't relate to the way they were positioning their product. In fact, the way all competitors were positioning their product was all around making the wound heal faster. That seemed to be the dominant thinking. But what we discovered is that most of the unmet needs related to making sure the wound did not get worse. So they went out with the value proposition that said, we prevent complications. And they tied the evidence that their products prevent complications to that value proposition. And they too, without changing their product or their pricing, generated double-digit revenue growth within a 6-month period. So you're mentioning the right thing. Just aligning what you do with the customer needs can really go a long way in describing the value proposition to the customer.
Most of the people that surround me are kind of mid-sized company, not necessarily startups, and you always kind of think of them as scaling or that next S-curve to face, and the job to be done approach makes such good sense for them. But if I buy into this, I mean, what's the real secret to getting upper management to commit the resources? Because it's not it's a process. It's going to take 2, 3, 4 months to do probably correctly.
Yeah, that's right. And there's got to be a return on investment. So the return on investment comes in a number of different ways. The first is the fact that you're increasing your chances of success. So if you can increase the chance of success by 5x, that's going to save you money. Also, it is when we use ODI. ODI has been refined for 25 years, so it's a good, solid innovation process. So using the approach, you've already saved 25 years of pain and suffering of trying to figure this out on your own. So rather than having to reinvent the wheel to create an innovation process that's going to get you success, you just apply it, and that's part of the ROI as well. And of course, there's then things like time to market. You may say that spending 2 or 3 months up front is costing you time, but you're eliminating a good part of your pivoting and failing fast, right? So you know that the product that you're building is the product that's going to win in the marketplace. In the end, it actually helps save you development time as opposed to adding development time. So those are the 3 key core financial metrics, if you will, that we often talk about when we're selling the concept to executives.
Outside procrastination, okay, what's the biggest roadblock you have found in someone getting started?
There's a number of roadblocks. I mean, certainly budget is one, team commitment is another, and just a resistance for process when it comes to innovation, I'd say, is probably the third. A lot of people just think that innovation is not a process, can't be a process, that you can't quantify opportunities, that customers don't know their needs, and that it's just kind of a guessing game. And they just don't believe that it can be systematized. And I think we're making progress in that direction by showing success year after year. I think people begin to realize that maybe this can be systematized and put into a process. But I think that's really the biggest resistance, is just resistance to process itself, and an inability to conceive that this can actually work, that you can mitigate the risk, that customers really do know their needs, and they can communicate that and you can quantify it.
Your offer as a Kindle Unlimited book is fantastic for people to pick that up. I can't imagine anyone, in business that doesn't pick it up if they're a Kindle member, okay? I would like to thank you very much, Tony. This podcast will be available on Business 901 iTunes Store and the Business 901 blog site. So thank all the listeners for listening.